SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Good evening, viewers. This is Dr. Ashwini Siwal from Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. We are going to talk on a very important topic in our series on law, science and technology. This is lecture number 19, which I am going to discuss and describe today. It's legal control of social media, Indian and international perspective. Well, viewers, you all are aware that social media is a very important and integral platform for every Indian, or for that matter every citizen of India as well as of the world. It is such a platform which facilitates communication, which helps us to connect with the different people in different jurisdictions. It is a platform which helps us to communicate our ideas. It is a platform which helps us to get connected with the friends in India or abroad. We all know that social media in the recent past has gained significant attention, and every user of a smartphone is using social media indiscriminately, invariably. But we are as lawyers are concerned not about the technological developments in the social media, but about some developments which may impede your speech, which may perhaps curtail your freedom of expression, or some other important fundamental rights, as well as some other rights which are available to you as a citizen or to you as a human. So we need to learn what are the key underpinnings of a social media. We need to learn what are the legal challenges which are lying ahead, and what are the laws or the legal framework available in order to regulate the social media. We all understand that social media is a platform, or are such platforms through which we are given the freedom to communicate, to connect with the others, but we don't know as to from where these media or platforms are operated from. We don't know who is actually operating, where the data is being processed, where the data is being stored. We don't even know how that data is utilized, and we don't know what are the terms and conditions of the usage, because usually the terms and conditions of the usage of a social media platform or platforms are hidden under several layers, and they are so lengthy for a normal commoner or a layman to understand. Even lawyers can't understand those technical terms and conditions so easily. So today I will try to make it simple, and today I will try to at least cursorily take you through or navigate you through to those important aspects of the social media and its legal control. When it comes to definition of the social media, viewers, we have certain important definitions available. So let's go into the historical evolution of the term social media. The word English dictionary, Cambridge Business English Dictionary, defines social media as social gatherings for socializing and having fun, while medius, the Latin word, forms the basis for medium. We all know it is a medium. We interact to the people through this medium, and we know that the meaning of the word social is gathering. So this is how the term social media has been coined. Media keeps us updated on global events, serving as a source of information and community watchdog. However, Media also curates information to shape narratives. This is where the problem lies. They must not shape the content, they must not intervene with the content which is being disseminated or which is being uploaded or downloaded on the social media, but they curate it, sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. This is where the problem lies, and we need to go into the depth of it. We need to understand as to where the problem lies and what are the legal recourses, what are the legal answers to those problems. If we move further, it refers to a technologically driven platforms facilitating interactive information exchange. If we see one more definition, social media represents a new phase of ICT, both celebrated for utility and criticized for negative effects on democracy, yet it is embraced worldwide. Everybody is on a social media. There are hardly any people on earth who are not using the social media platforms. Now look at the percentage of people using social media on a daily basis. This graph simply depicts different social media platforms like YouTube, Twitter, which are very famous social media platforms, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, and look at the number of percentage of the people using it on a daily basis. This is alarming. Then number of internet users worldwide have also proliferated of late, and the number in billions has been increasing constantly. Complexity which surrounds the internet or concerns the internet is that these social media platforms poses several challenges to security, to law and order, to societal well-being, and these challenges are multifaceted, and some challenges are unknown. We don't even know what are the challenges, what kind of problems may arise because of the social media platforms. We have witnessed mob lynching, we have witnessed communal riots being prompted or being ignited through certain communal posts on a social media by unscrupulous people, by anonymous people. We don't know who they are, we don't know where they are sitting, where they are having their hideouts. Sometimes it is done through web bots, not even humans. So it is very complex. The internet has redefined communication, information sharing, and societal interactions have increased phenomenally. We all know the more the societal interactions we have, we will be prosper, but that prosperity does not come so easy, because there is always a chance or probability of some communal wars or riots to happen, some unprecedented unfortunate things to happen. Key concerns of the social media include unauthorized exposure of sensitive information, cyber threats, proliferation of extremist ideologies on social media, erosion of individual privacy, and challenges related to freedom of expression, which I believe is the most complex and important. Now if we look at the risks in the digital era, my dear friends, after having looked at all the complexities and the challenges which may occur or which may happen, we can easily gauge the risks associated by using the social media platforms in the digital era. And the problem has definitely proliferated because of the profound use of the social media, even by those people who don't even understand what to post and what not to post. They don't even know what are their rights and what are their duties. Nobody talks about the duties, everybody perhaps talks about the rights, but when it comes to the duties, it is also imperative on a person or a citizen not to create any disharmony, not to do any such thing which imperils the law and order, not to do any such thing which causes any law and order situation. So for any person who is using a social media platform, let us see what are the risks in the digital era which he or she has. I already told you that there are security threats, but this extends beyond the normal security threats. It extends to seditious criticism, violence against state institutions or authorities and personnel. And this kind of seditious criticism will not go unnoticed, it will not go unpunished. We all know that sedition is a crime in India, and any sedition done online or offline has the equal kind of attraction of the punitive measures or penal provisions of the law of the land. So one has to be careful. Social media platforms serve as tools for disseminating extremist ideologies and coordinating acts of violence. Well, we have seen in the recent past as to how social media platforms are abused or misused by even nation states for their interest, for building narratives, for destroying or constructing or disrupting democracies. We all have witnessed Capitol Hill riots, we all have witnessed Russia and US confrontation because of their cyber espionage or such other issues which also stemmed because of the social media platforms. More concerns include misuse of information. This is again very alarming. People misuse the information, they incite hatred, they intrude into the privacy sphere of a person. Well, when it comes to misuse of information, my dear friends, we have recently we have seen that there are certain terms: disinformation, misinformation, and misuse of information. Each term has a different connotation in the eyes of law. We need to understand as to how our law has reacted to all these things. We need to understand as to how our law has catered to these issues like incitement to hatred, or for that matter to erosion of privacy. So policy makers of online platforms, or legal policy or legal framework makers of the online platforms, they are aware about all these challenges, and they have answered these challenges in some way or the other, in India as well as outside the world. So today in this backdrop, we will understand what are the answers which the laws in India, or what are the laws which we have got in the international regime so far as social media or its misuse is concerned or its abuse is concerned. Well, I told you that there are concerns regarding sensitive information too. So we have a concerns relating to data, where our data goes, where our personal and very sensitive data goes. We need to look at all these things, where our data is stored, as to how it is used, in what manner it is processed. So to combat all these things, governments or private entities have implemented measures. But what are those measures? Well, to regulate online content and protect users' privacy, several laws has been enacted or legislations have been enacted across all jurisdictions, including India. Concerns which we have already seen, right, have been answered, but they are yet to be implemented properly, because we are still witnessing problems because of the social media. We are not yet satisfied, and we are not yet happy as to how social media platforms are used. We all know that the social media owners, even Mark Zuckerberg, has to appear in the court several times and has to answer on his policy or on his algorithmic policy. But still we have yet to get the appropriate measures and the answers in order to have a regulatory framework which is robust, which caters to all these concerns which we have just discussed. So let us have a look at Indian perspective first. I'll cover the Indian perspective, then I'll go to the international perspective later on. Coming to the Indian perspective, Here in India, the governments and private entities both have come together and they have implemented measures to enhance cyber security and combat online extremism. There are measures taken by both. There are legislations aimed at regulating online content and protecting users' privacy, right? It is very important to regulate online content. You never know whose intellectual property protected work is being violated. You never know what kind of a defamatory statement or defamatory comments or defamatory audio visual recordings are uploaded on the websites or on the social media handles. You never know whose privacy is breached. So many jurisdictions have come together and have implemented. India too has done it, right? When it comes to number of social media users in India, we have seen the increase over the years, and this increase is huge, humongous. In 2025, this is going to be 1,000 million users in India alone. We are a populous country, but our people are not, of course, they are literate now, but digital literacy is missing. The ordinary literacy will not help in this case. There has to be a digital literacy which is missing in our people, and even our educated people, even holding PhD degrees or for that matter masters, they don't know as to how to use the social media platforms and what are their limitations, what are their duties, and what the social media platform is basically offers to them. Now, looking at our response, the government response to these challenges in India, the latest response by the government of India is the strengthening of the intermediary guidelines in India in 2021. Our lawmakers have enacted the law that is called Information Technology Act in year 2000, which was amended in year 2008, and there were intermediary guidelines available in year 2011 which remained operative till 2021, when we realized that those intermediary guidelines of 2021 were not adequate enough. We need more robust, more encompassing, more strengthened guidelines on intermediaries, because at the end of the day, social media platforms, be it Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they all are intermediaries. Intermediaries means they are the mediums who connect us through the world, who connect us to different personalities, who connect us to friends, family, who connect us to people, who allow us to communicate, to disseminate, and they generally don't have the framework or mechanism to filter our each and every post. They generally don't have any mechanism to filter as to what is being posted by different users or subscribers of those platforms. Sometimes the users post some defamatory contents, they post some threatening content or pornographic content or problematic content. You may say problematic content. So the social media platforms do have the policy, but those policies are not adequate. That is why in India we brought the intermediary rules in 2021, and those intermediary rules of 2021 have strengthened the legal control on the social media platforms. The Indian authorities, as I said, have introduced these information technology intermediary guidelines and digital media ethic codes rules. Here the Indian authorities has included even digital media ethics codes, which is something unique. Ideally, the Information Technology Act pertains to or relates to intermediaries or guidelines pertaining to intermediaries, because under section 79 they have been provided with a safe harbor. But here digital media has also tried to be governed through these rules. We all know that recently or of late there has been a rise of users of the digital media like OTT platforms, which we all use nowadays on our smartphones, because our smartphones are not less than portable computing devices. And we watch content online, we watch Netflix, we watch Prime, we watch Hotstar. What content, what digital media is shared there, what kind of a news or other content is shared there, even that was tried to be covered or catered through these intermediary guidelines of 2021. There definitely arose some legal questions on the intent of the government when they included digital media, ethics, and when they strengthened the intermediary guidelines in 2021. Even these giant social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter were not happy. We all remember that time when Honorable Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad ji brought these intermediary guidelines, and Twitter or Facebook both were not happy. There came very strenuous criticism from both in the case of these guidelines or in the context of these guidelines, because these guidelines are strengthening the nose on the social media platforms. These guidelines are tightening the nose on the social media platforms. These rules brought into effect or were brought into effect under section 87 ZG of the IT Act, which empowers the central government to issue guidelines for intermediaries to enjoy immunity from liability. If we further look at these rules, why these rules were criticized so heavily by, as I mentioned, by these giant companies like Facebook or Twitter for that matter, because these new rules brought new responsibilities on intermediaries, including social media platforms, to regulate content and protect users' privacy. The emphasis was on privacy. There was a lot of emphasis on the privacy through these rules, and also to regulate the content as to what kind of a content is disseminated. That is why the intermediaries like Facebook and Twitter were not happy. But later on there took place a lot of discussion, brainstorming, and they happily continued the existence as well as their services in country, in India I mean, and our rules were respected by them. They have implemented these rules. New responsibilities posed through these rules have been very well implemented by them one by one. Further, these rules and the objectives of these rules include responsible handling of users' personal information. This was a great problem or a great challenge prior to the enactment of these rules, that person's information or users' information was not handled so well. No user of the Facebook, no user of the Twitter knew where his personal information is stored, processed, and what are the different utilities of his personal information. Then this new rules also tried to prevent misuse of data. It also helped to removal of objectionable content, and it also helped in uploading ethical standards. These new rules, which are basically in compliance with the Information Technology Act, they are essential for intermediaries to operate lawfully and responsibly, ensuring their accountability and transparency in the digital space. Yet we have a lack of robust legal control over social media. I still say, being a scholar of this subject as well as a student of this subject, that we still have inadequate regulations as well as framework to control the social media. The necessary evil in the form of a social media is still posing a lot of challenges and problems, and we are yet to see its zenith. In India, it is a hotly debated topic, because I told you that in the past we have witnessed even mob lynching and people commenting, and then their comments turning into communal riots and clashes among the different sectors of sects of the society. Well, these social media rules as well as Information Technology Act addresses a lot of crimes as well as offences related to data theft, cyber stalking and online harassment, which we all know that our Information Technology Act has tried to address. But even in attempt of addressing data theft, cyber stalking, online harassment, the current provisions are not so you may say powerful or adequate. We yet need improvements in the current provisions. That is why we have brought Digital Data Protection Act of 2023, as well as we are expecting the makeover, or you may say the upholding of the Information Technology Act altogether. Once it will be done, we will have adequate provisions and we will have adequate rules. Now coming to Digital Media Ethic Code, which is meant to protect privacy, security and dignity, highlighting ongoing efforts to regulate social media. Then there are certain legal challenges which stem from complexities in user generated content, the ownership of data, privacy invasion, freedom of expression, defamation issues, and so on and so forth. There are several legal challenges which we have seen. Now major cyber crimes, if we see, which are occurring in India in terms of percentage, the present graph tells you the percentage of the major cyber crimes which are happening in India. The highest is the financial usurpation or the gain, then frauds, insult to modesty of women, sexual exploitation, causing disrepute. These are according to the NCRB, these are the major cyber crimes on social media platforms, and this is the indicative percentage of the different crimes taking place on the social media platform. Look at the financial frauds. I don't need to tell you that every now and then you get a friend request from your very good friend, and somebody demands a money, or in some way or the other somebody demands a money. He attempts to cause a financial gain to himself and financial loss to you by doing so. So this is the most alarming crime which is happening in India on social media platforms. Then the least percentage is of the disrepute, but this is again very important because nobody wants to be disreputed. I mean it takes me to the defamation basically. Nobody wants to be defamed. So anybody's defamation on the social media platform is a crime, and this is again a major cyber crime in India which is happening. Then of course pornography and obscenity, these are again some normal crimes which are taking place in the online realm or in the social media. They present a lot of challenges for basically young people, where we all know that young people are more prone to it, girls are more prone to it, right? They are tempted or lured to share their nude or their naked content or naked pictures, and then they are pressurized, or you may say the attempt is to extort money from them, which is also called sextortion, right? Which is also called sextortion in technical terms. Then we have under Indian Penal Code, our Indian Penal Code also addresses this issue of pornography, as well as our Information Technology Act caters to it. Under the IT Act also we have certain provisions which caters to vivorism, which caters to dissemination of the vulgar or obscene content. It basically criminalizes as well as penalizes people. Then the definition of obscenity though varies globally. We all know that obscenity is a concept which varies globally. Something which is acceptable to our social mores and our contemporary mores may not be acceptable in Pakistan or in some other country, or something which is acceptable in US or in Europe, the same social mores we may not have, or our contemporaneous cultural and social mores may not accept that. So this is something which is variable, but yet provisions across the globe are there to curtail as well as to put some check on the obscenity on social media platforms. This also poses another important risk, which is emotional distress, right, which is rarely discussed, which is not so much talked about. Emotional distress. Emotional distress means what? Persons are committing suicide, they are going in constant persistent depression, perennial depression, because of some cyberbullying, some unscrupulous person is extorting somebody. So this component of emotional distress has not been checked by the law. It is unchecked. No law caters to it or answers this emotional distress problem. Then Another important and very significant problem on social media platform is of hate speech. We have been listening about hate speech very frequently and reading about it on social media as well as on our print media and electronic media. But what actually constitutes hate speech? When does a speech tantamounts to hate speech? And when will your speech be termed as a speech which attracts some penal provisions or punitive measures? This is something we need to understand as users of the social media. Well, intercommunal conflicts fueled by hate campaigns on social media platforms highlight the growing importance of addressing hate speech. And instances like northeastern mass exodus, Muzaffarnagar riots, they demonstrate how hateful messages can incite unrest among people. We have seen exodus, we have seen people leaving their homes because of the hate speech, and yet it goes unnoticed, yet it goes unchecked. So how the law has responded to it, we need to check it and we need to see it. Reports show that there is a 25% surge in problematic online communities promoting racial tension, anti-Semitism, homophobia and hate music. These are real challenges. These are not just some fancy terms. These are real challenges. There are racial tensions we have seen in US, especially in Minnesota and Minneapolis, where recently lot of racial posts were highlighted, as well as tensions occurred among the people over there. Even hate music is uploaded on the social media platform, which results into communal riots or tensions between the two communities. Hate speech targets individuals based on ethnicity, religion, race, nationality, and it is regulated under various Indian laws. Now look at the legal recourses and the legal answers. Our Indian Penal Code and the IIT Act both are catering to hate speech or regulating the hate speech. Moreover, under the IIT Act, removal of hateful content from social media platform is one of the provisions that the social media platform has to remove the hateful content if it has been uploaded by any subscriber or user. But the challenge is that dissemination on platforms, on social media platforms, is so easy, and it requires no one to sit at one particular place or a nation state or a particular territory. Anybody sitting anywhere may write anything and may cause a problem in far-flung places. So this is a challenge, yet it is challengeable, but hateful content or its removal is promised under the IIT Act, wherein the IIT Act requires the social media intermediary to remove the hateful content expeditiously on a reporting, or under the rules it is categorically clear that if a court of a competent jurisdiction orders the removal of a particular content, then they have to do it. As well as in case of a committee which has been constituted, a very very powerful committee has been constituted under the Intermediary Guidelines 2021, which decides on the removal of a particular content, be it a hateful content or a defamatory content. If this committee decides on it and requires a social media intermediary to remove it, they are supposed to remove it. Look at the social media giants who have stepped up removal of hateful content. So this is the percentage of removal of hateful content in since 2021. You see, in India we have brought these new guidelines, but this is a European Commission's data, where till 2023 Facebook has removed lot of hateful content, so is Twitter, so is YouTube. So they are also definitely helping us, but problem persists or problem still lies. Then we have more challenges on social media platforms like identity theft. People's identities are stolen. We have seen deepfakes recently. We have witnessed celebrities, deepfakes. We have witnessed that fake profiles are made. This is basically identity theft, where your pictures are stolen because your Facebook or your other social media platforms have a lot of your pictures or other related content, and your behavior is something which can be easily comprehensible from your social media handle. Anybody's behavior may be easily comprehensible or discernible. These unscrupulous people anonymously create a fake account and they target your relatives or your friends or friends of friends to either extort money from or take some undue advantage from by simply creating new fake profiles or by stealing your identities. And deepfake is another new challenge, wherein we have seen the crime has seen its worst, where the even obscene or you may say pornographic content is being made of even celebrities and of ministers through deepfakes. But it is basically identity theft, and the answer or the provision or provisions on identity theft are very much there under the IT Act. Our social media platforms, their policy also encourages of sharing personal details, but this policy has increasing the susceptibility to identity theft, because the more you become public, the more you share your information, the more you are vulnerable to the unscrupulous entities, the more they can cause damage or harm to you or to the nation state or to the democratic values of the country or to the individual's privacy, right? So there are constant phishing attacks which exploit user information on social media, leading to identity theft and creation of fake profiles. It is done through phishing attacks. Phishing means where you are tempted to share your information. Sometimes you are receiving an email, or you often receive emails or some prompts wherein a request is placed to you to share your information, your account details, your passwords, etc. This is called phishing. There is also its analogy to normal word is wishing, where phone calls are made and through voice calls your information is sought. That is called wishing, and this is called phishing, and basically it is phishing, right? So now let's move to how our IT Act penalizes identity theft, addresses fraudulent use of electronic signatures or unique identifiers. Limited evidence suggests users take adequate precautions against identity theft, as illustrated by instances of account hacking and data breaches. So there are data leaks, there are big data leaks, there are big scandals which we have witnessed. We have seen that our information is not personal at all, because these platforms charge nothing, but in lieu of the services given by them, they take our data, they take our information, which is sometimes processed and misused without our consent, and that misuse leads to detriment to our privacy as well as sometimes to our financial losses. Issues concerning intellectual property. Now on social media there are issues concerning intellectual property, be it trademark, patent or copyright for that matter. All kind of issues are occurring on the social media platforms. Social media platforms pose challenges for trademark owners, with users adopting names, incorporating registered trademarks and spreading misinformation. So we know that counterfeit products are sold online. E-commerce giants are selling or making it available. They themselves are not selling, but they are intermediaries. They are not in a position to check every product which is being sold by the subscribed vendor with them or the verified vendor with them, but there are possibilities of counterfeit products being sold, and there are many people who have reported it, that they have received counterfeit or stolen goods through purchase on e-commerce websites, right? So social media has this problem because on social media, it is very easy to perhaps cause this kind of a pretext, or perhaps create this kind of a perception where people believe that a product is coming from a reputed entity or is coming from a well-known source, but it turns out to be a fake product or a counterfeit, right? Then we have seen that there are limited protections and inefficient mechanisms for trademark owners to address infringement online, and it requires vigilant monitoring of digital platforms. Lot of violating, or you may say infringing work is being sold on social media, on e-commerce websites. We see that copyrighted books or original copyrighted books are shown in the description, but the copies which the person receive or the consumer receive at the end of the day are found to be, or it turns to be, the infringing copy of the original work. So this kind of intellectual property infringement is taking place on the intermediary platforms like e-commerce, and nowadays some social media platforms are also advertising e-commerce. If you look at Facebook, or for that matter other platforms, you get lot of prompts of advertisement, right, which divert the particular consumer or a user or a subscriber of a platform to buy a particular thing from the e-commerce giant. So there are a couple of provisions which addresses this copyright or the challenge of copyright in the digital age. Let us have a look of it. Determining the ownership of a user generated content is challenging because the social media platforms are dynamic, they are widespread across different platforms. Yahan it is very complicated to determine who is the generator of a particular content and who owns the particular content. Ownership issues of a user generated content, another challenge on a social media platform. I create a content and upload it on the social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. Whose work is used there, whose songs or music is played in the background. These are some complex issues which are posing a challenge, and copyright law tries to address these issues, but yet there are some complexities and some unanswered issues which are occurring. There is no retribution, or sorry, there is no responsible attribution in case of copyrighted work on social media, and platforms are to be made liable, but questions arise regarding the liability of social media giants for hosting copyrighted material, because they have a safe harbor under section 79 of the IIT Act. They are intermediaries, and their safe harbor allows them to host third party content unless they themselves are the deciding authorities as to who is going to receive or who is going to be targeted, or unless they have the intervention up to the extent of changing the content or modifying the content. Otherwise they have the exemption or immunity, complete immunity. So questions arise regarding the liability of social media giants. Then legal remedies exist, but these legal remedies and their effectiveness depends on overcoming hurdles in online content distribution and enforcement strategies. I am skipping it because we have talked a lot about all these things. Now let us quickly look at the learnings from across the globe. What happens across the globe, how the things are tackled across the globe, and what are the kind of provisions which are available across the globe. Well, so far as the legal comparative analysis is concerned, we have to study various jurisdictions and approaches prevailing in different jurisdictions to regulate social media, and comparative analysis offers valuable insights to make our strategy good. Look at focus on different approaches or focuses of different countries, right? Some are people centric, some are state centric, some are both. So effective regulations ensures that there will take place technological innovations, but it needs to be aligned with societal needs, and it protects population from digital dangers, right? This is a people centric governance. So some countries have brought some effective measures which are promoting the technological innovations aligned with societal needs, and they provide protection to population from digital dangers, which we just talked about. Now if we talk about the benefits and concerns of social media, so we have seen it in the previous slides that it has certain pros as well as cons, but we haven't discussed about addiction and excessive usage. Our law nowhere caters to it. Indian law is silent on it. Some countries have brought some measures, and they have provisions about reducing the online addiction, about reducing the excessive usage of the online platforms. We will see shortly. Then what is the global legislative action? So governments worldwide are considering legislative measures to mitigate the negative impacts of social media while preserving its benefits. Now coming to Australian approach, as I told you that we will see approaches of different jurisdictions in this lecture. So what does Australia do? What is their approach to social media, or answers to social media or its problems? Their legislative focus primarily targets media marketplace regulation, which includes the ownership issues or IPR issues. They also target combating terrorist and extremist material. So our law also addresses, because our law also, IT Act have a provision 66F on cyber terrorism. Then they also have a provision on addressing cyber bullying, right? We also have a provision on cyber bullying. If we compare Australian approach, they have paid limited attention to platforms' addictive qualities, right? They haven't done it. They have paid little attention on effect of social media on mental health, especially among children, teen, vulnerable population. They also paid limited attention to propagation of false information and disinformation. This is really problematic, that a country so developed has not paid attention, right, to such things which are also equally important like the above or like the preceding issues. Then there are in their law there are provisions concerning cyberbullying and online content. We will have a quick snapshot of all the provisions. They have Enhancing Online Safety Act of 2015, right? They have Online Safety Act of 2021. They have Sharing of Abhorrent Violent Material Act of 2019. It is a unique act, Abhorrent Violent Material Act, which mandates reporting of violent behavior on social media and imposes fine for non-compliance. Then Online Safety Act is also important, which requires content removal and expense plan to include harm beyond social media. Then they have some additional regulations and measures. We have in front of you the additional measures taken in Australia for blocking illegal online services, government authorization to restrict illicit web services which target child exploitation, piracy, etc. Then privacy legislation amendment proposed legally binding online privacy policy for major internet platforms and strengthening individual privacy safeguards. They have laws on defamation as well. They empowers communication minister to set standards for hosting defamatory information on social media and hold service providers liable for defamatory content. Well, this is something unique where they hold the service provider liable for defamatory content, and this is something decided by their communication minister, who sets the standard for hosting defamatory information on social media. Then if we talk about US, let us have an overview of the social media legislation in the United States, which is again a very progressive country and claims to be the pioneer on usage of the social media as well as the internet. Right. So in US, they have a complex legal framework governing social media aimed at ensuring responsible usage and protecting users' rights. They have laws and regulations which cover a wide range of areas including privacy, data security, advertising, hate speech, content moderation. Recent events like Capitol Hill attack, I told you, have brought increased scrutiny to social media platforms and prompted legislative hearings regarding their role in spreading extremism and false information. So they have constantly, upgraded, or you may say improved their laws so that they can bring wider security and increased scrutiny of the social media platforms through legislative framework. Their section 230 of the Communications Decency Act basically is a key piece of legislation that provides extensive legal protection to social media platforms from liability for third party content posted on their platforms. The proposed changes to 230 aim to either limit its application or introduce more stringent regulations to hold platforms accountable for harmful content. While there is a bipartisan support for reforming section 230, there is significant disagreement on the specifics of how to proceed, leading to ongoing debates and discussions in Congress. This is a piece of legislation which provides extensive legal protection to social media platforms, and then there are recent legislative proposals and antitrust measures like have been introduced to regulate online platforms and address concerns about their market dominance and impact on society. Well, this is antitrust measures. This is a particular issue which we haven't discussed yet, and we need to definitely talk about it. There are antitrust issues or competition issues on the social media platforms. Of late we have seen that a lot of social media platforms are bringing anti-competitive algorithmic setup or framework. They have anti-competitive attempt to divert the users onto their platforms, as well as anti-competitive policies, because of which they have been levied or imposed with hefty fines in European communities, or in EU, as well as in US and India too. Our competition commission, that is Competition Commission of India, has also imposed hefty fines on these platforms for having anti-competitive algorithms or anti-competitive setup to attract more customers or subscribers, as well as to have anti-competitive approaches into their business model. Well, in US, this has been regulated in the earliest times, wherein they have brought some acts which are Safe Tech Act and PACT Act. These are the bills aimed at establishing cleaner rules for content moderation, addressing algorithm amplification, and ensuring accountability of harmful content. These legislations, such as the American Innovation and Choice Online Act, seeks to promote competition in the tech industry. We in India don't have any such law yet. Look at the antitrust legislation that they have, American Innovation and Choice Online Act, and it seeks to promote competition in the tech industry. This is a tech industry specific law, and it tries to prevent monopolistic practices by large platforms. Additionally, efforts are underway to revise existing laws like the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act to better safeguard online privacy of the children in the digital landscape. Now coming to EU regulation quickly. Well, EU is a pioneer, we know, is a pioneer community which brought European directive in 1995, then GDPR in 2018, which was replicated in other jurisdictions to ensure the proper processing of the data as well as its storage. EU regulations also ensures responsible use of social media, covering data safety, user privacy, illicit content, etc. These laws are proposed by the European Commission. They are approved by the Parliament and Council, and they aim to be global leader in digital standards, promoting democracy and balancing market interest with free expression. If you look at their Digital Services and Markets Act, which was proposed in December 2020, this act addresses platform dominance and promotes fair competition. It is in parametria with US's antitrust legislation, which we just saw. US antitrust legislation. On the other hand, in EU, they have Digital Services and Markets Act. This act focuses on preserving user rights, anonymity and online safety. This act aims to ensure secure online goods and services while upholding fundamental rights across EU. Right? They have another initiative, EU for Digital Initiative and Disinformation Action Plan, which is latest, which is very recent. It extends to digital single market to Eastern Partnership countries, promoting digital economy development. This action plan against misinformation aims to combat online misinformation through real-time warnings and collaboration with platforms. These initiatives align with EU standards and promote digital infrastructure, cyber security and media literacy. Well, in UK also there is a growing concern of internet behavior and hazardous information, and they also have some laws in place, and some responses and proposed legislations are there in UK too, which because of the paucity of time I can't cover, but they also have a wider net to address the online safety, etc. on social media. So let us come to the conclusion. In Indian context, if we talk about, the social media governance is very well. We, by bringing 2021 rules, have brought a excellent framework to make the social media platforms more responsible and more bound to the state made laws, or you may say duty bound to the state made laws, as well as it is again imposed on them to be careful about the data being taken away or to be stored and processed by them of the Indian users or of the subscribers. But yet there is an urgent need for more robust legislation and infrastructure in India. There is global discourse on media governance going on, which emphasizes on effective regulation in addressing the societal concerns, specifically the freedom of speech as well as hate speech, and on addiction, which is yet to be addressed, or excessive usage, which is yet to be addressed. These two things have not been addressed anywhere in the Indian law. Urgent legislative measures are needed to establish comprehensive laws governing social media platform, and infrastructure such as social media laboratories is necessary to monitor and track online malice effectively. Now coming to the recommendation, I will recommend that being a law professor of this particular subject, I recommend that the law which is to be made, or any infrastructure which is to be made, must have a balanced approach of upholding the freedom of speech on the one hand and taking care of the responsibilities of the social media platforms on the other hand with equal spirit, and these intermediaries are to be made responsible if they are at fault. They should be given free hand to regulate or to operate in India, because without giving them the freedom, the www thing will succumb, will not operate. And another issue that another recommendation from me is to subject these social media developers to laws, moral principles and ethical guidelines with oversight from regulatory bodies. There should be more regulatory bodies headed by people who know and understand the subject, and they must try to address the extraterritorial challenges as well, right? So I conclude here and wish to see you again for more lectures under this series called Law, Science and Technology. Thank you very much.